We want to again welcome us to this class, this all important class. So, again, thank you for joining this particular session of our class. Want to please appeal for your understanding that this session is likely to be a long session, and everyone just needs to listen carefully. It's essentially long because we want to make sure that we pick as many concepts in agricultural extension, program planning, and evaluation. If we successfully familiarize ourselves with these concepts, then going along in the class, as you encounter them, you'll be able to know what they mean and then how best to use them. It goes a long way to drive away ambiguity. So please, we request your understanding in this line. At the end of this class, we expect that each and every one of you should be able to list the various concepts of extension administration. List as many as possible. It's not just because you want to pass your inception quiz, mid semester, or the final exam. Beyond that, you will need the knowledge for um, capacity development and then to make sure you are relevant as someone who read agriculture in the university. So please be conscious of the need that you should be able to list the various concepts of extension administration. Then, after listing those concepts, we also expect that everyone in class, every participant should be able to define and understand the major concepts in extension program planning. Those major concepts that relate to extension program planning, we expect everyone please to effectively and adequately understand them. So we go along as we discuss those various concepts that we use in administration, whether it be extension administration, agribusiness administration, marketing administration. These concepts are always there. Now, within administration, there are generalized and broad statements of directions with respect to given activities. Generalized is not just a general uh, idea or a general statement. For instance, we can say we want to increase the number of students in agribusiness of the Department of Agribusiness. So that's a general statement. It's broad, it's not streamlined. Given that, we call that aim. So the concept of aim deals on that broad-based statement. It doesn't tell us how this is to be done and to what extent is to be done. After making that general statement stating the aim, we will now break the aim up to the level of objective. In objectives, we are trying to make effort to ensure that these expressions we've made before now uh, and the expected results we are looking out for at the end of a project, at the end of a business, that all resources are directed towards it. That's the core purpose of the objective. The objective is a statement of change in skill, knowledge, and attitude which we desire to bring in people's lives. For instance, we said we want to increase the number of students in ABM. Now, the question would be to what extent? So, somebody now says we want to increase that number by 50%. At that point, we have given an objective. I hope this is very clear. I hope there's no ambiguity. And then we move to goals. The goal is the distance in a given direction which we are expected to go in the case of these objectives. How do we want to increase the number of students in ABM? Are we going to the villages to share flyers? Are we planning to go to the Ministry of Education to ask for more students during admission or to go to JAMB? Or do we intend to go to channels, television, or any of the televisions around and then place advertisements? Do we want to go to the churches, Anglican Church, Roman Catholic Church, and the rest of them, and then ask the priests or the pastors or to the mosque for more advertisements over the program? So the goal here speaks of the distance we want to cover in a given direction. Then we come to calendar of work. In calendar of work, we are simply looking at the arrangement of what we want to do in a chronological order. Here, chronological would mean using a time sequence. That's the calendar of work. You know, that is first week we want to do this. First month we want to do this. Last week we want to do this. Third month we want to do this. That's a calendar of work of what you want to do. Now, the plan of work is now infused inside the calendar of work. Now, the plan of work gives you an outline of activities, arranged to enable efficient execution of the entire program within that period you've specified in your calendar of work. So, as someone who is into fisheries and aquaculture, you should have a calendar of work in your farm as to what and when you want to do things, and then you impute your plan of work. The plan of work must answer to why you want to do this, how you want to go about it, who is to do it, what is to be done, and where is that to be done. Your plan of work must show those essential details. Let's move to span of control. Span of control looks at the number of subordinates. Subordinates here means persons under a supervisor. The number of subordinates that a supervisor can effectively supervise within the organization. During our physical meeting, we agreed that the shorter, the smaller the span of control, the more effective extension administration, fisheries administration, animal science administration, whatever administration you are involved in, agribusiness administration, the lesser your span of control, the more likely you are sure of having a sustainable administration. But oftentimes it's best that you have a span of control that's not more than 5 persons, 5 positions. Look at in our university, you have the vice chancellor. Then for the vice chancellor, you have the deans of colleges, to the heads of department, then to the lecturers and students. So you can see the span of control there. The shorter, the more effective. Let's look at the term situation. When you say situation, just like the English word situation, we are looking at the idea of affairs, conditions, cultural, socioeconomic, and physical conditions that a particular group of persons find themselves. For instance, as students, you are in an academic situation. If people are going through crisis, there is a social situation. So it is within this situation that administration comes in. For those of us in agriculture, extension situation will include changes in technology, fluctuating government policy, changes in overall economic activity, including price, labor, raw materials, changes in the nature of competition, and changes in social norms and attitude. It's important that every student shouldn't miss clear understanding of this concept of situation. If you don't get it very clear, please you can reach out to the course facilitator or possibly make your questions in the comment section. Another idea that we expect students not to ignore is the idea of responsibilities of the supervisor. The this concept is important because if responsibilities are not assigned, a supervisor can possibly go way off target of what is expected. So the supervisor is expected to do the following: one, general staff supervision; two, staff development through personal training and development. The supervisor is also expected to look into matters that involve staff recruitment, look into program development, implementation, and evaluation. A supervisor should also have the responsibility of determining the need for classification and action within the organization. Supervisor also goes into execution of job content analysis, marking out the work content or job content of different cadres in the organization. If you don't give cadres their job content, they may end up either slowing out of their responsibility or even not doing anything at all. That's for responsibilities of the supervisors. Please note that clearly, not for exams, but because you are going out there to own a fish farm and you will be a supervisor. Because you are going out there to own an animal farm, you will be a supervisor. Because you are going out there to manage an agribusiness firm, you will likely be a supervisor. So you need to know your functions. A project. Now, when we discuss projects, we are discussing an outline of procedure and then an outline of processes. A project will have to talk about some phases of work. A project is not a program. A program is different. A program is the entirety of several projects, but then a project is an aspect of a program. We just want to be sure that there is no confusion here. You need to be able to distinguish a project from a program. Let's discuss the idea of a problem. Remember, we've spoken about situation. Now, a situation can be problematic or okay. Now, a problem is a condition that the people, after study, with or without help, have decided that it needs to change. So, if people are within a situation and then they don't think there is the need for a change, then it's not a problem. But if people find themselves in a situation and they strongly feel that there is the need for a change, with or without external help, they just feel that one or two things need to be altered, then we say there is a problem. Program development process. This concept is defined as the continuous and cooperative activity involving lay people and the extension staff. In this case, problems are identified, objective is set forth, and action is taken to reach the objective. In program development process, we said one, it's important that the objectives of the program is clearly set forth. It's important that problems are identified, then actions are taken. These things should come sequentially. First, identify the problem, set out objectives, and then take action. That's what a program development process will entail. Line of command. Line of command will have to do with the flow. I mean, the route of communication from the topmost officer to the lowest rank within an organization. The flow of communication. That's what we mean by line of command or line of control. Like in the university, from the vice chancellor to the lecturers, from the vice chancellor to the student. That's a line of command. Or you can say also from the chairman of the university council to the staff, from the chairman of the university council to the students. So that flow, there are individuals who come in at one point or the other to build up the line of command. Having discussed the line of command, we want to now discuss staff personnel. Staff personnel. Now, staff personnel are those in executive positions that implement policy of the organization. Those in executive positions. We need to know that every personnel, every staff may not be termed a personnel, may not be grouped into the concept of staff personnel. So long as program planning is involved, it involves majorly those who are in executive position. Line personnel are those in the decision and policy making centers of the organization. Please note this, don't forget this. Those in decision and policy making centers of the organization. Then there are those we call the auxiliary personnel. These ones are not the core line personnel, but then they are there to assist the line personnel and the staff personnel in carrying out the functions of the organization. Within the university structure, it may not be out of place to say that the non-teaching members of staff are also called auxiliary staff, because not that they are not important, they are very important, but they do not form the core of the purpose why the university is set up. Of course, you know, the university is set up strictly for research, for community services, very, very important. That is as it has to do with teaching. So the university targets to teach, the university targets to research, and then university targets to do community services. So there are personnel who assist in this system. They are called auxiliary personnel. We move to unity of command. The unity of command here implies the whole organization, the entirety, the components, coming together as an integrated body. And then there is the operationalization of the flow of messages within the entire setup. Unity of command has to do with the communication between that organizational setup. How is communication sent and received? For instance, let's use our university, Alex Ekweme Friend University Dufalika, as an example. When a decision is taken at the departmental board, the information is expected to be transmitted to the faculty board as soon as possible, and then to the Senate. Where such a matter is beyond the Senate, it can get to the University Council. That's what the unity of command simply means. We move now to organizational structure. Recall that we said earlier that this will be a long one. So please do bear with us. The organizational structure here relates to the hierarchical arrangement and makeup of an organization. The hierarchical arrangement, the hierarchical makeup of an organization. Usually, these structures may follow either longitudinal or decentralized. It can be either of the two when we discuss organizational structure. The delegation of authority, we discussed this in our physical meeting. You recall that when authority is delegated, officials at different positions of the organization structure are given authority to make certain decisions. Now, close to this is the assignment of responsibilities. In assigning responsibilities, officials are given different roles for which they are responsible. Now, let's differentiate delegation of authority from assignment of responsibilities. The principle of delegation of authority is that when authority is delegated, an officer must be in commensurate office, you know, in order to handle the responsibility assigned. You don't delegate um, authority to an officer who is not qualified. For instance, you don't ask a student to go and start lecturing. No, no, it's out of it. But in assignments, one may not be duly qualified by rank, but assignments may be given. Subordinate relationship. I think we've said this before. Um, the relationship between a superior officer and those under him. The subordinates are those under the supervisor. So the relationship between the supervisor and those under him is what we mean by subordinate and superordinate relationship. We still continue with our basic concepts. In this aspect, we are going into the core aspects of this course. We want to look at extension program. So we've done all the basics before coming here. So extension program will have to do with situation, objectives, challenges, and then solutions. Drafting out a clear plan to ensure that there is a change in the condition of people. So that is what uh, program planning, extension program, please, is all about. It's a set of clearly defined, consciously conceived educational objectives derived from an adequate analysis of the situation. If a situation is not adequately analyzed, a program cannot be designed. So that is to be achieved through extension. So we can say that in comparative terms, the program is to the extension agent what the compass is to the captain, because the extension program provides focus, priority, and design. I hope this is not complex to any one of us. Then we move to program planning. Now, in extension program planning, we are looking at the process of working with people in an effort to recognize the unsatisfactory situation and then determine possible solutions. You work with people and then they help you to look at situation, find if they are unsatisfactory, and then execute possible solutions, objectives, or goals. So the program planning itself is a decision-making process, but this decision cannot be made until there is critical analysis of the situation and then critical evaluation of the problems, evaluation of the various alternatives to solve these problems, and then the selection of the relevant ones, giving necessary priorities. In economics, we speak of scale of preference because people wouldn't be in need of water as well as in need of road, and then you go to construct road for them first. Then the water should come first. So extension program looks at the situation. The extension program planning maps out how to go about effectively handling that situation. Let's discuss administration. Now, here, administration is the leadership, the guidance and control of activities of a group of people, uh, organization in attaining common goals. I think we said in the class that administration is what is to be done. What is to be done? A good administrator is expected to take initiative, be imaginative, creative, intelligent, honest, and resourceful. It involves essential activities of the people charged with ordering, forwarding, and then facilitating the efforts of individuals or groups brought together for desirable purposes. So, what is to be done? That is administration. Then, management involves the use of existing resources to attain set targets. So the resources are already there. So how do you utilize them to meet up set targets? So that is what um, management does. As a kind of self-appraisal, what difference do you see between the two, using AE as an example, between management and administration? It's good that we break this down. Now, if we use our school AE as an example, management is an administrative technique in the conduct of public affairs, while administration itself lays emphasis on proper procedure, regulation, and control. I hope that suits sits well with everyone. Then we look at supervision, which involves direction or guidance of employees in an organization so as to attain maximum effectiveness and efficiency. Usually, here in the school, final year students are assigned supervisors, of course, in your final year with the aim and purpose of guiding you through your project writing and other essential academic activities. So the supervisor serves as a guide, as one who would interact with you um, to make sure that results are attained. As a system that is dynamic, supervision is also an enabling process by which individual workers who have a direct responsibility for carrying out some parts of an agency's program or plan are helped by a designated staff member to make the best use of their knowledge and skill and to improve their abilities to do a more effective job and satisfy the objectives of the employing agency. For us here, the employing agency will. Yeah, the employing agency is the university. Thank you for your time.